Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving headfirst into the intricate world of American politics to unravel a system that often sparks heated debates and leaves many scratching their heads, the US Electoral College. Welcome to our deep dive into the US Electoral College, a unique system that plays a crucial role in American presidential elections. Unlike many democratic systems where the candidate with the most votes wins, the US uses this complex system established by the Founding Fathers, and it's been the center of attention and controversy for centuries. In this video, we'll break down the Electoral College, exploring its mechanics, its historical context, and its ongoing relevance in shaping the landscape of American democracy. Get ready to become an Electoral College expert, or at least sound like one at your next dinner party. So, how does this whole Electoral College thing actually work? Let's imagine a giant nationwide game of capture the flag, but instead of flags, we're talking about states, and instead of running around, we're casting votes. At the heart of it all are these mysterious figures called electors. Each state gets a certain number of electors based on its representation in Congress. That's the number of senators, always 2, plus the number of representatives in the House. Now, when you cast your vote for president in November, you're not directly voting for the candidate themselves. You're actually voting for a slate of electors who have pledged to support that candidate. It's like a two-step process, a bit like choosing delegates for a very important meeting. In most states, it's a winner-take-all system. The candidate who wins the popular vote in a state, even by a tiny margin, usually gets all of that state's electoral votes. Think of it like winning a soccer match. You get the points for the whole game, not just for each individual goal. This winner-take-all aspect is crucial, as it means a candidate can win the presidency without winning the national popular vote, as long as they secure enough electoral votes. It's like winning the game by scoring on strategic goals, even if the other team had more shots on goal overall. This system, as you might imagine, can lead to some pretty interesting scenarios, and it has throughout US history. It also highlights the importance of swing states, states where the vote is often very close and could go either way. Understanding the mechanics of the Electoral College, the electors, the voting process, and the winner-take-all system is key to understanding its profound impact on American presidential elections. It's like understanding the rules of the game before you can fully grasp the strategies and the stakes involved. To understand why the Electoral College exists, we need to hop into our time machine and travel back to the sweltering summer of 1787. Picture the Founding Fathers gathered in Philadelphia, trying to hammer out a new system of government. They were a pretty clever bunch, but they were also deeply divided on how to elect a president. Some, like James Wilson, argued for direct popular elections. Others, like William Patterson, worried that the general public wasn't informed enough to make such a weighty decision. Then, there was the issue of slavery. Southern states, with their large enslaved populations, who couldn't vote, of course, worried that direct elections would diminish their influence in presidential races. Enter the Electoral College, a compromise, a way to bridge these deep divisions. It was a way to give states a voice in choosing the president, reflecting the federal nature of the US government. The Founding Fathers envisioned a system where informed electors would act as a check on the popular vote, ensuring that the president had broad support across different regions and protecting against the dangers of mob rule or the influence of foreign powers. Looking back, it's clear that the Electoral College was also a product of its time, shaped by the political realities and social anxieties of the late 18th century. It reflects the founders' concerns about balancing the power of the people with the need for a stable and effective government. Today, the Electoral College continues to be a topic of intense debate, with some arguing that it's an outdated relic of a bygone era, while others believe it still serves a vital purpose in our modern democracy. But understanding its origins and the compromises that shaped its design is essential for any informed discussion about its future and its impact on American politics. The Electoral College is a bit like that one friend we all have who's full of contradictions, sparking endless debates about their best and worst qualities. On the one hand, proponents of the Electoral College argue that it ensures that candidates can't just focus on densely populated urban areas and ignore the concerns of rural voters. It forces them to build broad, nationwide coalitions to win the presidency. They also point to the stability it provides. By delivering clear and decisive victories, even in close elections, the Electoral College helps to ensure a peaceful transfer of power. However, critics argue that the Electoral College undermines the principle of one person, one vote. A vote for president in Wyoming carries far more weight than a vote in California simply because of the way electoral votes are distributed. This, they argue, leads to situations where a candidate can win the presidency while losing the popular vote, as happened in 2000 and in 2016. This disparity between the electoral vote and the popular vote can erode public trust in the democratic process and create a sense that the system is unfair or even rigged. Furthermore, the Electoral College forces candidates to focus their time, money, and energy on a handful of swing states, effectively ignoring the concerns of voters in states that are considered safe for one party or the other. This can lead to a situation where voters in non-swing states feel like their voices don't matter, potentially leading to lower voter turnout. It's a system that's constantly being debated, analyzed, and critiqued, and its future remains uncertain. Chapter 4, The Faithless Elector Dilemma, When Electors Go Rogue. Now let's talk about those electors again, those folks who actually cast the votes that determine the president. You might assume they're just rubber stamps voting for whoever won their state, right? Well, it gets a little more complicated than that. Enter the faithless elector, a rogue agent in the world of presidential elections. These are electors who, for whatever reason, choose to vote for someone other than the candidate they pledged to support. Imagine the drama. It's like that scene in a movie where the hero thinks they've secured the final vote, only to have someone switch sides at the last minute, while rare, faithless electors have popped up throughout US history. Sometimes they act out of protest, sometimes they simply disagree with their state's choice, and sometimes they just want to make a statement. In 2020, the Supreme Court weighed in on the faithless elector issue, ruling that states can punish electors who don't vote for the winner of their state's popular vote. This decision aimed to clarify the role of electors and limit their ability to go rogue. However, the debate over faithless electors continues. Some argue that electors should have the freedom to vote their conscience, acting as a final safeguard against a potentially unfit or dangerous president. Others argue that electors should be bound by their pledge, upholding the will of the people who voted for them. The existence of faithless electors, however rare, adds another layer of complexity and intrigue to the already intricate world of the Electoral College. Chapter 5. Reform or Status Quo? The Future of the Electoral College. With all the debate surrounding the Electoral College, it's no surprise that there have been numerous attempts to reform or even abolish it. Some folks think it's time for a system upgrade, while others argue it's best to stick with what we know. One major reform effort is the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. It's like a pact among states, agreeing to award all their electoral votes to the winner of the national popular vote, regardless of who won their individual state. Think of it like states teaming up to create a bigger playing field, where the overall winner takes all the marbles. It's a way to ensure that the candidate who wins the most votes nationwide actually becomes president. Then there's the more ambitious route, amending the Constitution to abolish the Electoral College altogether and move to a direct popular vote system. This would require a supermajority vote in both houses of Congress and ratification by 3/4 of the states. It's a tall order, to say the least, requiring a massive wave of public support and political will. But hey, stranger things have happened, right? The debate over the Electoral College's future is really a debate about the very nature of American democracy. It's about representation, fairness, and the balance of power between states and the people. While it's impossible to predict what the future holds, understanding the various reform efforts and the arguments for and against change is crucial for anyone who cares about the future of American politics. Chapter 6. The Electoral College's Impact on Presidential Elections, Shaping Strategies and the Political Landscape. Love it or hate it, there's no denying that the Electoral College has a profound impact on how presidential elections are run, how candidates campaign, and even which issues take center stage. Now imagine you're a presidential candidate planning your campaign. You wouldn't just visit every city and town equally, right? You'd focus your resources on the places where your message would resonate most and where you have the best chance of winning votes. That's essentially what the Electoral College forces candidates to do, but on a national scale. Instead of focusing on every state equally, they're incentivized to prioritize a handful of swing states, those battleground states that often determine the outcome of the election. This means that voters in swing states tend to see a disproportionate amount of campaign spending, candidate visits, and media attention. Meanwhile, voters in states that are considered safe for one party or the other might feel like they're being taken for granted. The Electoral College also shapes the political map itself, influencing how states are perceived in terms of their partisan leanings. We talk about red states and blue states, but those designations are fluid and can change over time, influenced in part by the Electoral College. Furthermore, the Electoral College influences the issues that candidates prioritize during their campaigns. Knowing that they need to win over voters in specific swing states, candidates might tailor their messages and policy positions to appeal to the concerns and interests of those particular voters. So while we might not think about it every day, the Electoral College casts a long shadow over American politics, shaping campaign strategies, influencing the political landscape, and ultimately impacting who gets to sit behind that big desk in the Oval Office. The Electoral College, a system still evolving. So there you have it, a crash course on the US Electoral College. We've explored its mechanics, its historical context, its advantages, its criticisms, and its undeniable impact on American politics. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content on American politics and beyond. Whether you believe it's a brilliant system of checks and balances or a relic of the past in dire need of reform, understanding the Electoral College is essential for engaged citizens in a democratic society. After all, it's a system that affects us all.